I'm Dixie Ann Halage, the Acquisitions Editor of S&H Publishing. Welcome to our new author interviews. Now, here we are with our author, Joan Fallon, and she wrote Palette of Secrets. She currently lives in Spain, but she's actually Scotch. And can you tell us a little bit about how that came to be?
Yes, I was born in Scotland, but to be quite honest, I only lived there for a very short time. And most of my childhood and adulthood, I lived in England. And I worked as a teacher, and I'd always been interested in writing. I'm a great reader. I was an only child, so books were my constant companions, and I'd always fancied myself as a writer. But life, work, children, family, there wasn't time to do the writing as well. And then at the end of the 90s, my husband, who'd had a work accident, decided to take early retirement. And we thought about where we should live, and we lived in quite an expensive area of England, and we thought, well, that's not a good idea when you're only on a pension. We had a holiday home in Spain, and also my daughter had moved to Spain a few years before, so it seemed a logical place to move to. And we've never regretted it. We've been here now about 18 years, and feel really part of the place. Of course, the first thing we had to do was learn the language and try and get ourselves into the fabric of the society and make friends and the rest of it. But once that was all done, I came back to the thought about, when am I going to do this writing? I've been thinking about it all my life and never got round to it. And I didn't read, I'd had a few half-hearted attempts, but it didn't seem to me to be very good, and I didn't have the confidence. And then I saw a course advertised for the first time by the Open University in creative writing. They hadn't offered one before. And I thought, this is an omen, because I did my degree with the Open University back in the 70s when they were just a new body. And so I thought, right, this is it. This is telling me that I should get on and become a writer. So I took the course. It was a correspondence course, lasted about a year, and I loved it. And I learned a tremendous amount. But the most important thing I learned was that I didn't have to be struck with inspiration, sort of wake up one morning able to write and off it all trotted from my pen. That it was actually a craft, it was work. And you had certain ways to go about it and certain things to think about the characters, about the structure. And I loved that. I found all that really interesting. And it gave me the confidence, because then I felt, yes, I've got to be inspired about what to write. But I had loads of ideas about what I wanted to write. But now I know how to go about it, how to craft it into a book that people will want to read.
You have done that very well with Palette of Secrets. You have made it into a book that people will want to read. So what inspired you? You said, okay, yes, you have to have some inspiration to get started. So what inspired you about Palette?
Well, it was a few things, because there's a couple of themes in the book that I felt quite strongly about, really. One of them was, as I'm getting older myself and lots of my friends are getting older, the problems of getting old, and not so much the problems, but how you're perceived. And so the character in this book is actually an elderly, I shall say, not old, an elderly woman who was a famous artist. And so she'd had a good life. She'd had a very successful life. And but now she's old. She's losing her memory a bit. And things don't work quite as well as they did before. But inside, she feels the same. And it's this story of how she feels that I wanted to put across. But this isn't the central story. The central story is that she is writing her memoirs. And by writing her memoirs, she starts thinking back to her past. And that brings in another area that I think is worth considering, and that is to do with women's position in society and how it's changed. Because when she was young, in the 50s and 60s, women were very much second-class citizens. They were ruled by their fathers and their husbands and their bosses, and so she had to live through all that as well. So that also comes into the story. And then, of course, there's always got to be something a little bit more exciting to get the reader carrying on. And so there's a mystery that has to be revealed, and it's this plot of the story is how this secret gradually comes out through the course of the narrative.
I think that's excellent. I really was very happy to be able to publish this book. I think it does bring out so many societal problems and deals with them, but it does it subtly within the plot of The Big Secret. Yeah. And I really appreciate the craft that has gone into that. And thank you for talking to us all the way from Spain.
Thank you very much. I'm glad that we could communicate like this.